Hopefully at this point, you'll understand how the hierarchy of the outline matches the information that's in the paragraphs. So the skeletal system and the muscular system were absolutely talked about in the paragraphs that you read, and also those were the same paragraphs that the information was selected in order to make the questions. So the questions themselves comes right from this outline. What kind of joint is in the hip? Name the type of joint in the skull. Both of these questions could have been found in the joint section under bones. So if you missed this note, in other words, you had trouble answering that particular question, and you'd have to return to the reading in order to search for it, you would find it under a category of joints. That's what they were talking about. And so the topic heading for that particular detail would be found here in bone joints. What are involuntary muscles? Now, usually those worksheets and questions follow in order. I didn't do it that way this time because I wanted to give you the challenge of when it is like that. But they've jumped now to muscles. So in our hierarchy, we would be looking under this chapter heading, muscular system, and the involuntary muscles would probably be here under purpose. Would probably be here under purpose. Question number 4 asked how many bones were in the human body. That was in one of the notes that we took together. But it started out, there are 206 bones in the human body. That fact looked pretty innocent just sitting there in that first sentence. But if you had realized that it was a factual piece of information, perhaps you would have jotted it into the notes. Here we have a cardiac muscle being an involuntary, a question on that. So we would go back to our book under the muscle system and kinds of muscles. It would probably be here under kinds. The next question, 6, asked for 4 functions of the bone, and the number 7 were 3 functions of the muscles. So if we had to search that out again, purpose of bones, that would be a function, a purpose, a function, and purpose of muscles. So you would have 2 different places to look for those 2 different answers. But at least you wouldn't have to read the entire article because you're letting your sections and topics guide you to where the answer probably is explained. Let's see, the last couple questions dealt with ligaments and tendons. If you did not take a note on the ligaments or tendons, you could skim that material for looking for the term ligament. If you didn't have an association with a ligament to either a bone or a muscle, you wouldn't be able to use the topic headings. That wouldn't help very much if you were really pretty clueless about it. However, if you could skim your article to find the word ligament, that probably would stick out in the reading. And why do bones contain phosphorus and calcium? Here's another opportunity to search a very quick read, a skimming of the information to perhaps find the word phosphorus or calcium in
Obviously,
reading. The best you can do is make the notes as complete as you can with the first read. But we're all human, and we may just decide, oh, they'll never ask that. I'll never get a question on that, and you'll skip it. So when there actually is a question, then you have to have some understanding of where you might find it more
Of course,
easily.
you're always trying to match what the test maker's purpose in asking the question would be. Your answer would have to parallel that. So if your teacher has given you specifics, perhaps he or she has turned around on to the smartboard and actually written down something of importance, you would want to put that into your notes also. If you were not able to answer the question, or if you were not able to answer it correctly, you need to go back into your notes and fix them, because you want to make your notes as complete as possible so you can close that textbook and not read it again. You're going for reading the textbook one time, taking the most complete notes that you possibly can, filling in the gaps, and then resting assured that the night before the test, you're not going to be rereading the textbook. It doesn't help anyway. It's in sentence structure, and your brain remembers things in small little chunks. So now I need you to go forth and try this. You're probably going to be a bit frustrated for a few chapters, but when you realize how much easier it is to write the answers to the questions that are graded, to study for the tests and quizzes, you'll realize what a time saver it is, and also your grade will go higher.